Barely behind Buffalo in the AFC East. Jets had the big win over the Patriots. Aaron Rodgers looked fantastic. I mean, you can't say enough great stuff about Aaron Rodgers. Well, center Joe Tippmann says Rodgers' play has everyone feeling very confident.
Just to be able to see him bring in that confidence, within his game, it brings a whole new confidence to our whole offense. He's a guy that's, out there communicating, getting us to kind of the right call, right play. He's breaking down the defense before, they're even showing what they have. So for him to be able to do that and getting us on the same page, and then he just gets time to work and, make something happen. And that's what he's phenomenal at doing. So credits to Aaron Rodgers there.
Listen.
Yep.
I will say, we're in the content business. Jets are interesting.
So
I missed them. Like this, when they didn't play this weekend and they didn't play last night, I was looking for some Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, okay. Should I? All right, so two guys you bailed on, well, bagged on, ripped on, made fun of, talked about all summer. Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers looking pretty good as quarterbacks so far to start the season. Admit that. Forget the records, just the quarterback play from those two.
Well, the Jets have beaten Jacoby Brissett and Will Levis.
That's a good reminder. And let's dovetail right into the Jets schedule this week. It's Bo Nix. Okay, that defense should handle him.
Okay, so this is one of those games that I said last week, Seattle-Miami. I didn't get the line. I thought Seattle was going to pummel them. This is one of those, I don't really get the line, but if you inspect it, the Jets are going to pummel the Broncos because the Broncos have to go all the way to Tampa, go home, all the way to New York with extra rest. So Bo Nix against Aaron Rodgers, Aaron gets extra rest. That is why that number, because when you look at that game, you'd think that's like a 4.5. 7's a blowout. That line is strangely large, and I think it is because they're looking at Aaron with extra time against Bo Nix, having to do work on the plane there and back, a cramped week, and I think the Jets will win convincingly.
And as a reminder, that line was 8. Jets were favored by 8. It was bet down. People think the Broncos, that's too many points.
I think if you're a Bronco fan, here's what you take from this year. Are there going to be moments when you're like, we got the guy? Like when you watch that game against Tampa and you're a Denver fan, you're like, hell yeah, it's a moment. That's a great moment. This is not a good week for you. We talked about early. At Seattle to open was a bad spot for Denver. This is a bad spot for Denver. They're not a great team. If Denver can have 4 or 5 Sundays this year where you're like, we got the quarterback, we got the coach. They got their first Sunday. It wasn't just the win, it was how they won. They dominated a hot team across the country. So Denver and the Jets are living in 2 different universes here. I think Denver has to feel great about Sunday, but this, like the Seattle game, is a bad spot for a rookie quarterback and a young team.
And the Jets, if you remember, went to Denver last year, won with Zach Wilson at quarterback. And then there was the Peyton versus Hackett. Remember the chatter? So there's a lot of angles. I just don't want the Jets to overlook, an inferior team because Sam Darnold is on deck the following week. That's a huge game. Sam Darnold, Flores, Kevin O'Connell. That's a really good fight.
Remember, Sam Darnold is facing the Packers this week. So the Vikings are going to be on this incredible emotional high, and they're going to come. It's hard to duplicate that. Like the Rams beat the Niners. You think the Rams are going to play that well? I mean, the Rams, they literally emptied the tank on the Niners. They got everything to work late. That's why you like the Bears this week.
It's up to 3.
Yeah, no. The odds makers are saying the Rams, listen, it's one of the great McVay wins of his career with that team. You cannot go off a rival game in that emotional high, and then you go in and you look at the Bears, they're 0-3. Watch Chicago.
1-2, won it. They beat the Titans. They beat the Titans.
Well, not really, but yeah. Yes, it counts.
Yeah. Final story is, the Bills. They blew out the Jags. 47-10. Now, obviously, Trevor Lawrence wasn't good. This is not totally on him. The defense got cooked. 5 straight touchdowns given up to start the game. Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville now 0-3. Lawrence has lost 8 straight games dating back to last season. Well, listen to this. Doug Peterson says things need to change. He was non-committal to his quarterback next week, Colin.
There has to be changes, whether it's play design, personnel, everything's on the table.
Does that include, every starter, or does that include the quarterback potentially, or not?
I mean, you say everything's on. We got to take a look at injury. Tonight we had some guys injured. Could be, could be moves that way. It could be performance. It's all things we have to evaluate as we move forward.
You know what?
Okay.
I'm dead. I talked about this in the staff meeting this morning. I heard something 2-3 years ago, a concern about Trevor Lawrence. And I listened to it, and it was like, he likes football. He doesn't love it. And when I watch him play, the details, he's missing stuff that backups hit. Is he really, and I got nothing against him, but you can't lose 8 straight if you're a great quarterback. Good God, Herbert didn't do that with Brandon Staley. Like, he's just not accurate enough. He's just sloppy. Now, you can blame the coaching for that, but we see it all the time where Brock Purdy's a better pro than a college guy. Terrell Davis was a better NFL running back than a college running back. Kurt Warner's a better pro than he was a college guy. You see this all the time where a guy just doesn't get the coaching and get the fit. Is Trevor Lawrence just a better high school college guy than a pro guy? That at the pro level, you have to be so committed, so detailed, so efficient, so accurate, and that his talent allowed him at the high school and college level. It allowed him to just, be an imperfect player, but a lot of glamour and a lot of fun. When I watch him, he does not look buttoned up. Too many loose throws, too many layups he misses, overthrows on simple stuff for his talent. Like, it does. I see what they're trying to do with this team, unlike the Bears. But I like Trevor. I met Trevor. I like him. But if you look at the great quarterbacks in this league, they're obsessed by the position and obsessed by the sport. And he just misses way too many easy things. And I don't know what that is, but it's not lack of talent. I mean, I'm talking stuff like we showed 2 or 3 of those passes. That's backup stuff. Yeah. It's just, I just don't see the efficiency. His game is way too loose.
So someone once told me, like, if anybody was going to pull an Andrew Luck and just up and retire, it would be Trevor Lawrence. And it's not that he doesn't, like, he's obsessed with football. He's just, he's a guy who has a lot of interest.
Yeah.
And he's kind of playing like it. Now, our producer here gave me one of these stats, and I'm reluctant to say this stuff, but this is a real number. Trevor Lawrence has a lower career passer rating than Daniel Jones. I mean, that's not great.
Daniel Jones,
really
I think Daniel Jones is all in. I think he's limited. And I'm not at the facility, but I've heard things from sources that I trust, is that I just look at Trevor's game, and it's sloppy, and it's loose, and it just doesn't look buttoned up. Now, maybe it's just coaching.
Well, Doug Peterson's coaching for his job at Houston this week. If they go 0-4, I would not be shocked if he's fired.
Okay, they're not beating Houston.
Well,
Houston just got humiliated.
Well, Jacksonville just got humiliated.
Yeah, but they got humiliated because they're a bad team. Houston's a good team that got humiliated.
Also true. I don't know why they stuck in man coverage last night. What the hell are they doing? Like, the defensive coordinator looks clueless. Guys are wide open, crossing routes left and right. Jacksonville can't cover in man. They can't play man. What are they doing?
Can I throw this at you? And I believe this to be true. Cheap organizations like a Cincinnati or a Jacksonville's always built a little cheap. They don't get the best scouts. They don't get the best executives, right? Like I always feel like there's certain organizations, and you fans don't see this, but there's a reason the Packers draft and develop so well. Because people that Green Bay hires, they vet them, they move there, and they'll stay there forever. Green Bay will move off you. Not a lot of people bail on Green Bay. Like, if you get an executive job with the Packers, the only reason you leave is you get a great offer somewhere else. Like you know what I mean? So nothing's a coincidence in the NFL. Kansas City and Green Bay and Baltimore and all these organizations, Rams, they draft well because behind the scenes, the owner pays the most money for the best people, and they're attractive to the best scouts. I had a discussion years ago with a former NFL quarterback who dabbled in scouting. He eventually went into coaching. He said, Colin, there are area scouts. You cannot believe the difference between the good area scouts and the bad area scouts. And the best team, great area scouts, they become assistant scouting directors, director of scouting. He goes, some of these teams go cheap on area scouts, and they just got ham and eggers all over the country. I just look, the whole Jacksonville organization feels second tier to me. Sorry, it just does. And I like Doug Peterson. It just feels second tier. J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
I mean, I'm watching television like you. That wasn't even a competitive effort. That wasn't even competitive. And I know Buffalo's good, but they're not that good. That wasn't Troy State against Bama and Saban's